Today's question comes from WAPO AI Big Daddy. There's an interesting name. The question is, hey tech, I just got a laptop with a Ryzen 7 7735HS. Yeah, I had to look that one up too. And I'm blown away that an APU can game in 1080p low settings with decent frame rates. My question is, when do I see APUs replacing low-end GPUs, and will it be sooner than we think? Buy Windows 10 Professional for $15, activate instantly online with Microsoft, and keep it forever. Don't pay full price. Get the best deal from our sponsor, URCD Keys, using our link in the video description below. Full details on how this amazing deal works at the end of the video. Actually, I'm kind of surprised 1080p low is what you're running. I looked up the specs of that. I wasn't intimately familiar with it. I haven't used it personally, but I can read a spec sheet as well as anybody. And I would think that would actually do a little better than that. For those of you who don't know, that is a Zen 3 Plus. It's not Zen 4, even though it has a 7000 product name, because AMD plays fast and loose with the product naming rules. So does Intel. It's the way of things. So it is an 8-core, 16-thread Zen 3 Plus chip with integrated graphics. But it is not the old crappy Vega graphics. It is essentially a Radeon 680M. What's a 680M, you ask? It is RDNA 2. It's based upon the 6000 series of dedicated graphics chips, but obviously scaled way down. It's got 768 shaders within it, and it's got some on-chip cache and some other things that improve its performance. I was looking over its specs thinking, that's interesting. I would expect that to do better than 1080p low, but it depends on what you're playing. If you're playing Cyberpunk, 1080p low. But a lot of other games, I'd expect it to run 1080p high. Certainly Overwatch, World of Tanks, League of Legends, GTA 5, Dota 2 would all play at 1080p high. Heck, they might play at 1440p high. But then many other games, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, would also play at 1080p high on that, or at least I would expect them to. Depends upon how much on-chip cache and HBM it's got, depends on how much it has to go to main system RAM, and the main system RAM leads me to why those aren't going to replace low-end dedicated GPUs just yet, although that day is absolutely coming. Let me back up a second. PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S and X are APUs. I know, shocking, isn't it? Those are 8-core, 16-thread Zen 2 derived, because they're not exactly Zen 2 chips, but they're essentially Zen 2 CPUs with RDNA 2 graphics, or 6000 series included. It is quite possible that your 7735HS is really not that far off of what is in a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series S. How is that possible, you say? Those game consoles play at 4K. Sure they do. But it outputs at 4K. I'm sure it does. And you can get a 1080p graphics card to output at 4K if you set the render resolution low enough and you turn FSR to ultra performance and you set all the scaling down to minimum. Yeah, it'll do it. I would remind everybody that GTA 5 will play at over 60 frames per second at 4K on a GTX 1050 Ti. If you set the detail to normal. And it kind of looks like crap. But it's 4K! 1440p at high detail looks better than 4K at normal detail. I mean, the whole world is missing the textures, the model detail. It's kind of ugly. But it's at 4K. No scaling either. That's true 4K. So the thing is, the consoles don't really run at 4K. I mean, they can. There are a few more casual games that will run at 4K. Most games on a PS5 or an Xbox Series X are running at 1440p or 1600p, and they're upscaled. That's what FSR is for. They're just basically running that, or a version of it. And then the Xbox Series S is really running at 1080p upscaled to 1440p, but that's neither here nor there. Those consoles do better than this APU does for one simple reason. They do not have separate memory. They have a combined architecture because it's all designed to go together. They have 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 on the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. No DDR4, no DDR5. It is unified memory that both the CPU and the GPU share. and because the CPU and GPU are essentially combined with a high-speed interconnect link, and they both have direct access to all the GDDR6 high-speed memory, and as games load textures into that memory, they don't have to copy them into VRAM. There's no delay, there's no asset swapping from main system RAM to VRAM because it's all in one space. That is why the consoles are able to provide the performance they do for the money they cost. That in console hardware is often subsidized by the fact that Sony and Microsoft get a 30% cut of all the games that get sold. But that's another topic. So if we were to redesign our x86 desktops so that main system RAM was shared between the CPU and the APU, and they didn't have to go to DDR4. If you could give 16 or 32 gigs of GDDR, and it's gotten a lot cheaper now. 16 gigs of GDDR6 is not expensive anymore, not when bought in bulk. And so we could certainly provide that for the computer. The problem, of course, is there are some latency issues. There's reasons why we don't use GDDR6 as main system RAM on a Windows-based PC for non-gaming tasks, because in some latency regards, DDR is better than GDDR, but putting that aside, because they're basically the same thing. They're just set up differently for different purposes. We need more high-speed memory for APUs to really take off in the desktop space. This may come in the form of L4 caches. This may come in the form of upcoming chiplet architectures where they could put 4 or 8 or more gigabytes of on-chip, if not on-die memory. So essentially your package will have CPU, GPU, I/O chip perhaps, on-chip high-speed memory, either HBM or GDDR6 for the APU, and then the access to the main system RAM. If we could get that, then you wouldn't need... Then the sub-$300 graphics card market would probably largely go away because that would cover most needs. Why don't we have that, you ask? Making that chip probably costs as much as making a simple CPU and just selling a dedicated graphics card. Why do they do it in consoles? They make millions and millions and millions of them. They are not add-in products. They don't need an add-in socket. There's no PCI Express slot. There's no big fancy motherboard. They are all soldered on. The memory and everything is designed as one single unit, and you cannot free run your own software. They're designed to do one thing and one thing very well. They are single task machines. Your desktop is not a single task machine. And that is why PCs have always cost more than game consoles and probably always will, because they are more flexible and more capable. If you just want to drive to work, a Honda Civic is way more efficient than an F-150 pickup truck. And for my viewers outside the United States, an F-150 pickup is a big 19-foot-long, huge vehicle that many of you in Europe and other places would think is an absurd personal vehicle. In the United States, it's the best-selling vehicle we have. It's America, so what can I say? But an F-150 is not in any way, shape, or form an efficient way to drive to work or to do anything. But need to haul a bunch of furniture, need to pick up some stuff from the home improvement store, need to grab 25 bags of mulch, need to pick up some 2x4s or sheets of plywood, need to put some bicycles and some other stuff in the back and take them to the shop or do some other work. Honda Civic's not going to do any of that. F-150 does it all day long and will never care. The right tool for the job. Honda Civic's more efficient, just like the game consoles are. F-150, less efficient, costs more money, but it's extremely versatile and will do a lot of different jobs. Whether everybody who buys one needs it to do those jobs is a separate conversation. Interestingly enough, in some regards, if you just play games, PCs are a waste of your time. Go buy a console. They are cheaper, they are faster, they are better. Except, many people like to play PC-only games, and people like to mod their games, like to have control over their games. They don't want to phone into a server in East Whateverlandia for permission to play the game they purchased. They're like, look, this is, of course, I know, online, Steam, and... Looking for a Windows 10 or 11 product key, but you don't want to spend $100 to $200 for it? Our sponsor, URCD Keys, provides discounted Windows keys at amazing prices. $15 for Windows 10 Professional, $21 for Windows 11 Professional, and just $60 for Microsoft Office 2021 Professional Plus. These product keys are the real deal. They activate directly with Microsoft Online, link to your Microsoft account, and they work forever. For Windows, you simply go to Settings, Update and Security, Activation, click Change Product Key, paste the key provided by URCD keys, and in seconds, you're activated with Microsoft. For Office, go to setup.office.com, sign in with your Microsoft account, paste the product key provided by URCD keys, and then download Office 2021 Pro Plus directly from Microsoft. Remember to use the discount code TD20 to save 25% off the already deeply discounted prices and support our channel at the same time. We have been using product keys from URCD Keys for almost 5 years now without any issues and encourage you to do so as well. In theory, hey, GOG exists. You could buy your games from GOG and then you don't have to phone into a server in East whatever landia. You can mod your games. Skyrim. I mean, holy smokes, tens of thousands of mods. Try that on your Xbox or PlayStation. So, AI Big Daddy. Actually, it just occurs to me that might be Al Big Daddy. APUs will probably eventually replace low-end dedicated graphics, but it will require something more than just putting the graphics on the CPU. It requires high-speed local memory or a redesign of our motherboard design, or redesign of how we do memory on the computer. Probably not in the next 5 years, but only the future will tell.